Well, I appreciate you coming out tonight on a Sunday, and I know we don't hold political events on Sunday, so this is a fireside. And in keeping with the fact that it is Sunday, I wanted to keep my message on point and focus on something I'm very passionate about, and that is religious freedom, our First Amendment. So please bear with me. 500 years ago, people did not read the Bible. And it wasn't because they couldn't read, but because they were forbidden to read the Bible. The Bible was only to be read in a special language by those in authority who could understand it. And you were basically at the mercy of your priest to interpret and dictate to you what in fact was in that great book. And unfortunately, people during that time, they longed to read the Bible themselves. They wanted to be able to read those words and interpret them in their own mind, and especially in a language they could understand. And they didn't want to have to rely on authority to do so. And I have something very personal I want to share with you about one of my ancestors, and his name was John Bringhurst. He was a Quaker in England. If you think Mormons' rules are restrictive, you should read about the Quakers, by the way. So, but as a Quaker in England in 1683, he printed a book called George Fox's Primer about his Quaker beliefs. And as a result, in 1684, he was persecuted by local authorities, forced to pay a fine, and was also put in the stocks for doing so, because in their mind it violated what they felt was appropriate. And in time, he decided to move his family to Amsterdam, and in time, children of his eventually immigrated to the United States, and I have Quaker ancestors who came as the treasurer with William Penn and founded Pennsylvania. But it's something that I remember as a story that is something to remember how sacred the ability to practice your religion and your beliefs freely is something we have in this nation, and it's not that way everywhere. Most of you recognize that Martin Luther, of course, was actually burned at the stake in 1520 for his beliefs, and all this is what has transpired, and obviously the lives of many others that have come before us. Also, we can read the Bible ourselves and have the freedom to worship as we so desire. And so now what do we have? What do we have as a result of all those sacrifices? What we have is millions of Christians here in America as well as all across the world who now have that opportunity to own their own Bible and read it as they wish, and choose not to read it if they so wish. This very same Bible that our ancestors fought and died for, so it can be translated in English and every other language that's out there. So really the question then becomes, do you take advantage of that opportunity, or do you just sit at the pew at church and just listen to what others tell you, or not go to church? Either way, what does that sacrifice mean to you, and how has it affected your own life, is something you might ask yourself. Personally, what I'd like to say is, let us not undo what our forefathers have done before us, and recognize that our freedoms have to be fought for and protected every day. And it's no coincidence that freedom of religion is the First Amendment, and I believe it is because it is the most important right that we have. Because if that's taken from you, certainly they can take any other right that you have. And let us not forget that rights come from God and not from man. And so government can't create a right, nor can they take it from you, but you have to know what your rights are in order to protect them.